Well, technically, I'm in the midst of it right now. I mean, the reality is, I mean, it's interesting talking to you now in this moment, in the sense that we had that talk, you know, during that time, and you asked me about it because, well, when I first came up with this phrase for myself, which was transforming mental illness into a blessing, with the tagline of "Passion is the gateway drug," that was around 2011 when I met a woman named Lisa Nichols, who is an inspirational speaker and writer, things like that. So I'd been through the mental health system from, you know, from basically 19 to 30 at that point, or 32 or something like that. I was living off credit cards, so I just charged everything. Plus I had some money from like family and from the government and things like that. In this nice apartment, actually, by myself in New Jersey. So I saw someone speak on a video, this guy named Vishen Lakhiani, and he was talking about the 6 steps to awesomeness. Which I don't know if I can remember them now. I should. It's like know what you want, be in flow, embodiment practices, be in the right environment, and one other thing. And he was talking about the famous quote of you're the summation of the 5 people that are closest to you, which I had heard before but hadn't thought too much about because I grew up with amazing people around me. But at this time I was isolated basically. And I thought about it and I thought, well, really, there's only my mom and dad, first of all, that I'm even close to at this point. So it's not even 5 people, really, if I thought about who are my 5 closest friends at that time. So it really inspired me. And he was putting on something called Awesomeness Fest in Costa Rica, which was like change makers, entrepreneurs, things like that. And I thought I have to be at this event. And I put it on my credit card and I went to Costa Rica. And I met this woman, Lisa Nichols, and I told everyone there about my story. Like I felt out of place, and had this whole history of bipolar, and there was people there who were millionaires or friends with Richard Branson and this, that, and the other. But everyone was really generous and nice, and it was a really good vibe. And I talked to Lisa. She spoke basically at the first day, and I never had actually been around someone when I heard them speak. It literally made me want to do something. Like, I mean, I felt that way about music. Live music, but I never really had one person speak like in a just speaking kind of way that made me feel alive and like that I had something to share or do or be. So I went to talk to her and she invited me to be part of one of these co-authored books where you actually pay to be in the book. It's like it's like a expensive business card kind of thing. But on the other hand, you get to tell your story and share your story. So I realized I wanted to share about my experience. So that was like 2011. So I've been on this journey since 2011 of transforming mental illness into a blessing. And I updated it a couple of years ago to transforming perceived mental illness into a blessing because I wanted to change it because I actually don't think there's such a thing as mental illness. You can use the word in certain vacuums if you want, but technically there's no reason to call it that. So I've changed it to that. And I thought I was going to go out and do like a Messiah mental health thing, like when I first wrote the book, and like coach people and teach and change everything. And then I realized I had put it in the present tense for a reason. You know, I didn't call it transformed mental illness. It was transforming. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm still working on that. So the last couple of years, I've realized I've been getting stories from people who also have had these experiences and like basically doing the research, like what works for people. And being off medications myself for a few years, like altogether. I was only on a little bit a couple of years ago, but still I was on it. So it's been about 2 or 3 years since I've been on I guess like 3 years since I've been on medication. I mean, people have asked me what I did, and it's like, honestly, it's passion for me was the gateway drug, meaning I had to have something to keep me alive, which is I want to be a rock star. I want to make a movie, like, or I have music yet to be made. You know, there was something, or I love my friends, like just something until you can figure out the rest. And I think, and then the other thing when people ask me is I met my wife, my now wife, which you can't prescribe. You can't prescribe that to people, but I do believe what you can prescribe is the passion part and staying alive and finding something that makes you come alive. And that can give you grace, I think, on a certain level. And the grace is what allowed me to meet Andrea. So the last couple of years, I've upped my level in understanding what is this whole experience I had and all the wounding of being tied down and locked up and medicated. And I didn't just go full way, like a halfway with it. I was like, held against my will like 7 times and all that kind of good stuff, like deep research and development basically. So to bring things up to current, my real passion is not new math or technology. It's to play music and make movies. And I've played here some music. I mean, I don't play well, but I've got 20 songs written from when I was depressed, and I've always wanted to record them. I've always wanted to make movies like Steven Spielberg or something like that. And I've been broadcasting. I played music in front of people just a little bit to get over that fear. I'm carrying my guitar around with me, directing little things here because we have so many amazing people here. I'm just in complete celebration mode, like of just celebrating everyone around me. Like they're so genius and good-hearted. So I'm living my dream right now. I mean, among all the things to share with you, like what's going on here, it's like I'm living my dream, and hopefully other people are too. I see that, and hopefully me doing that can also help them do that, I guess. And that's what's really going on here. I can tell you all the stuff and why we ended up on the call, but that's what's happening for me on a personal level. From a technology consultant perspective, the Facebook Live thing is completely revolutionary, like the function, and I'm sure it'll even get better. And then when we translate that into NewMap, it's going to be completely epic. But much thanks for Facebook, actually, because that Facebook Live thing is a really great way to connect with people. And it saves your videos straight to your file. You can then download them onto YouTube later. I mean, it's epic, and it's live. It's real time. It's kind of quite fun. So that might be one place you want to test it out a little bit, little by little. What's emerging? Well, so what I wrote you about was, Ervin. We met Ervin Laszlo like 2 months ago, and I spoke to him briefly, and they've got this new Laszlo Institute of New Paradigm Research. And when I saw that, I was like really excited because technically NewMap as a little crew, that's kind of our space really, research and development, more than being software engineers or a business or implementers on that level. And of course, Ervin's work is highly aligned. He's got a new book coming out called The New Map of Consciousness. So we met him, and we seemed to just connect briefly, just shared with him a little bit. And he's been in our field for a while through Barbara Marx Hubbard and our friend Caroline and Jeremy, know him. So that's kind of been just waiting to happen in a way. I mean, for me, in my selfish way of attachment, I was like, why is Ervin waiting? What is going on? Like he's writing a book called The New Map of Consciousness, and we're making NewMap. Like, why don't the evolutionary people get us? I've gone through this whole thing. Like Barbara's been amazing. I just made a video saying I needed to thank her because I had these expectations of her, in my head and anger. Like, why doesn't she help us more? And then I'm like, dude, she's totally mentored us, like totally passed down the transmission of the lineage and totally been there for us in the way she can be there, which is beautiful and perfect. So I've been working through some of that as I've learned more and get into new realms and frequencies and things. So finally we met Ervin in person, myself and Andrea and a couple of us, and he just said, why don't you send me a proposal? Like, if you want to work together. The Laszlo Institute has a couple different objectives that are really aligned, which I don't know by heart, but I share them with you another time. So I've been thinking, like, what does that look like? What could it be? And we're talking about like something that's funded but grounded and all that kind of good language. And the freedom of research and development is, for me, a liberating type thing, especially from the funding perspective. Like, it's like we're not expected to deliver anything but what we do anyway, rather than a product. The product is our research, for lack of a better word. So I'm kind of excited about that. So what came up for me was they also want to do the evolutionary business thing in the Laszlo Institute. So it's like they want to help incubate new things, and business is one of the key parts of it. So some guy on the Teal for Startup Facebook group posted his work called 3D Management. It's like integral business model that he's working on. I read just the abstract, and I really liked it. And then I thought to myself, I still don't see this as integral. I understand integral work, but why are we trying to make businesses and capitalism integral? Let's transcend it. I don't think we actually need businesses in the future. I know everyone's like, we'll just be purpose-driven and we'll be conscious about it. I actually, I'm coming from spiritual philanthropy. I've seen the future. And I don't know how long the bridge is or the transition. That's up to the universe and all that. So I read this thing and I thought, how could we apply the findings and models of integral business to cultural transformation? To community transformation, like the ideas, all the things about integral business, like purpose, resonance, alignment, synergy, working together, community. None of that has to be technically a business oriented. As far as revenue and profits, and we're in a business. So, and that's what NewMap's all about anyway, being in fractals and hold-ons where the intention is at the center that people rally around, and that you're not in organizations, you're in whatever hold-ons turn you on. and you're part of an emergent synergistic network, that's your business, for lack of a better word. I mean, if you're going to, and it's a lifestyle of co-creation on the planet. It's an alternative lifestyle, I guess. So I read that and I thought, how can we apply this findings, the integral findings, to cultural transformation? Because I had just met a girl who did her master's in festival consciousness and the conscious evolution through festivals. So I already had that seed planted from this girl. I was like, whoa, you did a master's in that? Like conscious evolution from the festival thing? I was like, how awesome is that? Because I had biases against academics because I was so treated badly there, and all the elitism and all the crap that goes with academics, and from my past experience, you know? So that was in my head, and I thought that. So I sent that to Irvin saying, let's go down this path of how do we apply integral business theory to cultural transformation, and we have a technology that we can prototype that's already at alpha. So it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. We've got something to work with. And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. Send me more, you know? So that's kind of where I was at. I wanted to touch base with a bunch of people, take that simple, for me, simple idea, like applying integral work to cultural transformation and using technology to facilitate that and enable it. And those are the technologies also of synergistic co-creation, what we call the synergy form. So social architecture, energetic principles, and technological infrastructure, which is what the New Map movement is about. Perception through those three sort of core pieces. So that's where I was going with that. And right now it's coming into this quicker convergence manifestation thing. If you look at the work Jan is trying to do with the Seed Council and all that. So for me, Jan's doing amazing work in like moving mountains etherically, but he still keeps searching for new groups of people that align with him. So he keeps creating new groups, like a new, and I need to talk to him because I'm like, if Jan, if only 3 or 4 people are responding, it seems like you're dispersing like what you're trying to do. I don't know. It's not a criticism. It's just feedback really. Because he has the synergy hub here, the family here, like the architecture he's pulling from is like what Chris and Andrea basically downloaded. So what happened is we have this building here for 5 months and then we have to buy it. So we've been gifted the opportunity to live here and we want to buy it so we can stay here and make it everything we hope it will be. So what's come up is in October, we are going to have a month-long event, which is partially a trim tab festival in honor of Bucky Fuller and his trim tab theory, and partially a whole systems hackathon as a theme. We're going to invite 100 people to participate that in person, and it's going to be broadcast to the world. So, and we're going to all have to design a way, you know, live streaming and I don't know, Google Docs and Facebook, and we'll have to design a way for the whole world to participate if they so choose. There's going to be elements there that are going to converge together. So, for example, we're going to launch a book on reimagining philanthropy that I'm part of with a bunch of awesome people. So that's indigenous philanthropy, spiritual philanthropy, conscious like investment. Like it's a co-authored book. So there's different perspectives on reimagining philanthropy. With the overall thing being philanthropy for life, like whole system where everyone is a philanthropist. We're going to launch New Map as an open synergy source license development project. So the whole world can participate in that if they resonate with things like sharing the code amongst us, sharing the profits with the community and things like that. We're going to announce the Synergy Hub Network, which is the bigger vision for all these kind of hubs around the world in different locations, including the unveiling of Synergy Hub Rotterdam itself, the building and what we're doing here. We're also going to announce a Global Freedom Fest. I'm part of a group of people that have the actual skills and ability to put on a Woodstock kind of thing. So we're going to announce that that's happening in 2018. And then the next 2 years, part of what we'll all do together, for those who are interested, will be to help design that as well. There's going to be a couple themes like honoring women. Not so much the feminine, masculine kind of thing that gets a little esoteric and harder for people. It's just more like these are our mothers and sisters. I think, I mean, that's just my sense now. It's going to be created by more people. That's just the intention I'm sort of offering. Like, let's just keep it more simple, like just honoring mothers and sisters is what came to me. And the final piece is occupying the noosphere. So we're going to call the world to occupy the noosphere, which could look like the old Occupy, but up the spiral a level. So completely nonviolent, completely not about resistance or activism. It's like, here's some examples of how people can occupy the noosphere. This is what we're going to do. And how we see it, like occupying the dream world, the imagination, the intention world, the passion world. So people, I would hope people will catalyze and go to during that month, they can go to their own eco-villages and their own gatherings and just occupy the noosphere. Like maybe even sleep in parks that are public. Like none of that like tension thing. Just find public places. And we'll probably in a couple of weeks, because of what's happening here, start announcing that and see if we can get people to sort of pick up on that, like occupying the noosphere, which I know is a jargon word, but I think we can work with it because it is in the zeitgeist. And look at Google. What the hell did Google mean before anybody knew about Google? So, and then the Irvin Laszlo piece as well, integrating that into the festival. So that's why it comes full circle for me. So have the New Paradigm Research Institute be one of the containers for the next 2 years. I'm going to offer that. I don't know if, Irvin and then we'll be interested, but that's the story that seems to be unfolding. And that for me allows all of us in our core fractal here, because it's not about exclusion. It's just that we can only handle 100 people. We have no budget. So this event to me is not a planetary level, like everyone focus on this, because we're not offering that. We're saying this is what we believe. This is our excitement. This is what we're doing. And if people like it and they want to participate, of course. But it's not like we represent a whole movement and, that kind of, I think we won't probably go down that direction. It'll happen organically. So that's what's happening. And you're welcome to cheer us on from the sidelines or come into the core fractal or bring Synergy Forum into those 2 weeks of the festival and the hackathon. Like it's open to you, my brother, like to think about it for a couple weeks or a month. And like, it's going to happen, it's going to be like good enough for now, safe enough to try a lot of that sociocracy out of sociocracy thing. But we've got some like architectures with the stuff we've been working on, which won't be imposed. It'll just be offered. Some basic things when people get there. Like I would like to have another call with you where you tell me much more about Synergy Forums and how you actually go about them during each day and what you've done and all that. So that's what we're doing basically, and we're going balls out in that sense. Like it's time to do that. We're all in that. We're interested in being the change we want to see in the world. So we're going to step it up. Peace, love, and compassion. I mean, first of all, I hope you will come no matter what level you participate because you're so close. Like if you can at least mark some days off in October to literally participate in any way, like I would definitely hope you'll be there on some level. Like aside from what level, like we want you here. Like, I mean, just as a co-creator in general, which means you're bringing your whole platform anyway. Like, because those 100 people we will find a way for those 100 people. And two weeks is a long time. So for those people that are seriously interested, there's a place to stay here. There's all these rooms for breakout rooms. There is enough time with 100 people to actually get to know each other to a certain degree in some of these major components and work with them, I believe. And then you have this hackathon style thing where, okay, after 2 weeks, here's the picture we've drawn. How can we like maybe weave something together that going forward allows all of us to shine in this like way that Jan is speaking of, like uniting the uniters and, and bringing in funding that is literally probably limitless. If you can get 500 million to make X-Men, then we can get 500 million to build a new paradigm. That's what I'm here to do. It's leaving the celluloid footprint behind, right? We've got the carbon footprint thing covered, but we've got to not leave the celluloid footprint, which is 500 million on it. Now, I love X-Men, actually, I love movies. Like, that's why I love movies. I love Hollywood productions, but right now, I want to put up productions that have the same entertainment value, but they leave behind eco-villages and renewable energy and, work for people and children being fed. Like, we can do both of those things. There's no doubt in my mind, and I'm holding space for that. So there's no reason James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, and Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio, once they understand what we're doing, if they're the real deal, because we need to stop raising money for diseases and disasters. That's what we usually raise money for on a global scale, diseases and disasters. So now it's time to raise resources for love and synergy and cooperation and compassion. So that's where I'm heading anyway. So please think about things. The documentation thing, you're going to be more in the new MAPI potential field of complete, utter, ridiculous emergence, like 7 S's of co-creation, until I find the 1 or 2 people who actually excel at documentation and the gift of that. And that is, if you want to bring some tiny piece of that, because I know you're busy and all, but if you have someone in your field who would be interested in this event and knows how to, that's just not my gift. And if I do that, I won't be channeling what I need to channel. So that's an invitation. If you have any friends who you think could do something like that, that would be amazing. But I don't even know if anyone here right now is the person for that yet. I want to hear much more about your story. And though, despite the fact I talk a lot, I'm equally a great listener. So if you ever feel like sharing your story through me listening or asking a few questions just to catalyze that, I would be honored to like compile a 3-hour eventual thing where you just tell your whole story up to this point. So anytime you ask me, I'll be there to do that. Multi-level talented. I'll go from David Letterman to Jim Morrison and back to Walter Cronkite, you know.
Awesome.
There's a blessing in the multi-personality DSM disorder, you know. All right, man. Much love to you, John. Thank you so much.